Every year on St. Patrick's Day, millions of people wear green, celebrate Irish culture, and think about shamrocks and leprechauns. But the real story of St. Patrick is far more dramatic than the legends. He wasn't actually Irish. He was kidnapped as a teenager, and he returned to the very land where he had been enslaved. This is the true story of the man who helped change the history of Ireland forever. Part 1. Patrick before Ireland. St. Patrick was born around the year 385 in Roman Britain, when the region was still part of the Roman Empire. His real name was most likely Maywin Suckett. I know that's a funny name. His family was Christian, and his father served as a church deacon. Patrick later admitted that when he was young, he didn't take his faith very seriously. That would soon change. Part 2. Kidnapped. When Patrick was about 16 years old, Irish raiders attacked his town. He was captured and taken across the sea to Ireland, where he was sold into slavery. For 6 years he worked as a shepherd, alone in the wilderness, cold, hungry, and far from home. During this time, Patrick later wrote that he turned deeply to God. He prayed constantly. According to his own writings, he sometimes prayed over 100 times a day. Part 3. Escape. After 6 years, believed he received a message from God in a dream. The dream told him that a ship was waiting to take him home. Patrick escaped captivity and traveled nearly 200 miles to the coast. There, he found a ship and eventually made it back to Britain. Patrick's story wasn't finished just yet. Part 4. The call to return. Years later, Patrick had another dream. In the dream, the people of Ireland were calling out to him. They were asking him to come back, this time not as a slave, but as a missionary. Patrick studied Christianity and eventually became a bishop. Then he returned to the very place where he had once been enslaved. Part 5. Converting Ireland. Patrick spent decades traveling across Ireland preaching Christianity. He baptized converts, built churches, and trained new clergy. One of the most famous legends says he used a shamrock to explain the Holy Trinity. Whether or not that story is true, Patrick became one of the most influential missionaries in early Christian history. Part 6. Myths versus reality. Many stories about St. Patrick are probably legends. For example, one popular myth says he drove all the snakes out of Ireland. But scientists say there were never really any snakes in Ireland after the Ice Age. So the story might actually symbolize Patrick driving out pagan beliefs instead. Part 7. His legacy. Patrick died around the year 461. Over the time, he became the pardoned saint of Ireland. His life story of slavery, faith, forgiveness, and courage left a permanent mark on Irish history. Today, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated around the world, and behind the parades and green clothing is the story of a man who returned to the place of his suffering to share what he believed was the truth. More than 15 centuries later, the story of St. Patrick is still being told. Not just a legend, but as a story about resilience, faith, and the power of forgiveness. I hope you guys took something away from this video and learned a lot more about St. Patrick and why we have St. Patrick's Day. Alright guys, this is Seabass. I will see you later. God bless.